I know that this windfall would take me on a journey into the darkest corners of my own soul. The numbers had aligned in a way that seemed almost too perfect, and I found myself clutching that precious slip of paper with trembling hands. I was an ordinary person, living a mundane life, but in that moment, I felt like I held the key to a world of endless possibilities. The first few weeks after my win were a whirlwind of celebrations, financial consultations, and interviews with the media. I was on top of the world, basking in the attention and adoration of friends and family. But as the initial excitement began to wane, a nagging feeling crept into my consciousness, an unease that I couldn't quite shake. It started with the anonymous phone calls, whispers of congratulations and well wishes that seemed to come at odd hours of the night. At first, I brushed them off as harmless pranks from well-meaning friends, but the calls became increasingly frequent, and the voices on the other end grew more sinister. One night, as I lay in bed, the phone rang once more. I hesitated before picking it up, a sense of dread pooling in the pit of my stomach. The voice on the other end was barely more than a whisper, but its words sent a chill down my spine. "You shouldn't have won," it hissed before hanging up abruptly. I tried to dismiss it as a cruel joke, but the words haunted my thoughts. Who would say such a thing? And why? As the days passed, I noticed other strange occurrences. A black cat that seemed to shadow my every move, an unsettling feeling of being watched, and dreams filled with cryptic messages and disturbing imagery. I couldn't help but feel that my victory had unleashed something malevolent, something that was now closing in on me. The turning point came one evening when I received a package at my doorstep. It was a small, ornate box, beautifully crafted but strangely foreboding. Inside, I found a letter written in elegant script, which read, "Congratulations on your win. But remember, not all fortunes come without a cost. You have been chosen, and the price must be paid." The message sent a shiver down my spine. Chosen for what? And what price did I have to pay? I had no answers, only a growing sense of dread that I couldn't escape. I decided to seek help, consulting psychics and mediums, in the hopes of unraveling the mystery that now consumed my life. They spoke of dark forces and ancient curses, warning me that my lottery win had come with a heavy toll. Desperate for answers, I followed their guidance, embarking on a series of rituals and ceremonies meant to appease whatever malevolent entity now haunted me. But the nightmares persisted, and the sense of being pursued by an unseen presence grew stronger with each passing day. One night as I lay in bed, I heard a voice, a chilling, disembodied whisper that seemed to come from within the walls themselves. It spoke in a language I couldn't understand, its words filled with a sinister, otherworldly power. Terrified, I followed the voice to the basement of my home. There, I discovered an old, dusty book, its pages filled with incantations and symbols I couldn't comprehend. It was a grimoire, a book of dark magic, and it seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. As I flipped through its pages, I realized that the rituals and ceremonies I had been performing were not meant to free me from the curse, but to strengthen the entity's hold on me. I had unwittingly become a pawn in a sinister game, and my lottery win was nothing more than a lure to draw me deeper into the darkness. I knew I had to break free from this malevolent force, but every attempt to rid myself of the grimoire proved futile. It seemed to have a will of its own, always returning to my possession no matter how I tried to dispose of it. Desperation drove me to the brink of madness. I spent sleepless nights nights researching ancient texts and consulting experts in the occult, searching for a way to break the curse that had ensnared me. And then, one fateful night, as I sat alone in my dimly lit study, the answer came to me in a flash of insight. I realized that the key to my salvation lay not in appeasing the entity, but in defying it, in rejecting the false promises it had offered. With newfound determination, I confronted the grimoire, speaking words of defiance and renunciation. The entity's power waned, and I felt a rush of energy as I reclaimed control over my own life. The nightmares ceased, and the ominous presence that had haunted me retreated into the shadows. I knew that I had paid a heavy price for my lottery win, but I had emerged from the darkness with a newfound strength and resilience. I share my story as a warning that not all that glitters is gold. Winning the lottery was supposed to be a dream come true, a ticket to a life of ease and comfort. But little did I know that it would become a nightmare, one that would shake me to my core and leave me forever scarred. The day I discovered I held the winning ticket, I was overjoyed. It felt like the universe had finally smiled upon me after years of financial struggle. I couldn't believe my luck as I watched the numbers on the television screen, each one matching the ones I held in my trembling hand. I wasted no time claiming my winnings, and suddenly my life was a whirlwind of interviews, financial consultations, and newfound wealth. Friends and family celebrated with me, and I basked in the attention and the promise of a life free from financial woes. But that newfound wealth also attracted the attention of others, some of whom had darker intentions. It all began one evening when I received a message on social media from a stranger. The message was polite, congratulating me on my win, but it was accompanied by a subtle threat, a hint that I should be careful about who I shared my good fortune with. I brushed it off as the words of a jealous individual and blocked the sender. Little did I know that it was just the beginning. The first sign that something was terribly wrong came late one night. I awoke to the sound of shattering glass, and as I rushed downstairs, my heart pounding, I came face to face with an intruder. He was masked and armed, his eyes filled with a cold, malevolent intent. I froze, fear coursing through my veins, as he demanded that I hand over my newfound fortune. I complied, desperate to survive the ordeal. He emptied my safe, taking not only my money but also my sense of security. After that night, I installed state-of-the-art security systems, but it seemed that no matter how many precautions I took, the threat continued to loom. I received anonymous phone calls, taunting me with the knowledge of my every move. They knew when I left the house, where I went, and who I met. My once celebratory life became a prison of paranoia. I couldn't trust anyone. And my relationships crumbled under the weight of my constant suspicion. I hired private investigators, but they could find no leads, no trace of the sinister individuals who were tormenting me. One evening, as I returned home from a meeting with yet another investigator, I discovered a chilling message written in red paint on my front door. It read, "We're watching." My heart sank, and I knew that the nightmare was far from over. I decided to go public with my story, hoping that exposure might deter my tormentors. But instead, it seemed to enrage them. The threats escalated, becoming increasingly violent and explicit. I received photographs of myself, taken without my knowledge, as I went about my daily life. The police offered protection, but it was little consolation. My life had become a living hell, a
constant battle against the fear that seemed to surround me. One night, as I lay in bed, I heard a noise in the darkness. I knew that I was not alone. I reached for the panic button by my bedside, but before I could press it, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was the intruder, the same one who had robbed me before. This time he was not alone. He was accompanied by others, masked and menacing. They surrounded my bed, their eyes filled with a cruel hunger. I begged for mercy for my life, but they were relentless. They demanded more money, more riches, and I knew that my life hung in the balance. I gave them everything, every last cent of my winnings, but it wasn't enough. They took more than my money that night. They took my sense of security, my peace of mind, and my belief in the goodness of humanity. As they left, they whispered chilling words in my ear, words that still haunt my nightmares. "We'll be back." I reported the incident to the police, but the perpetrators were never caught. They vanished into the shadows, leaving me to live in constant fear.